Hey guys, we are live at the Arterburn in St. Matthews. We are here for our town hall where Mitch McConnell and Senator Paul Rand have been invited to speak. We are going to be starting our meeting in any minute now. Thank you for joining us.
Do we have like an audio set up? Okay, what is that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was.
We're not that cool yet. We're getting there. One day.
Okay, so this is the microphone in question right here. Whoever's speaking. Okay, let's set the microphone right here. Make sure.
We're live.
That's good. Laura and Nancy.
Hey y'all, we're going to get started in about 1 more minute. Thank you for your patience.
I would say if there's more than one speaker, wherever they're speaking. Are you good? Yes, I'm fine. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started. Can everybody hear me now? Yay, okay. Yes, much better than last month. Thank you so much. My name is Charlie Sexton. My day job, I'm the director of the Walden Conservatory at Stage One Family Theater, but I'm also involved in our local chapter. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's doing some good in the world. We are the local chapter of Indivisible, which is a national nonprofit organization that helps organize events like this, and it helps all of us organize and make calls and show up to things and speak to our neighbors and work to help defeat the Trump-Musk agenda. And just since our last meeting in February, there's so many things that have happened. It's such a long laundry list. We can't go through it all, but we see the economy crash and the stock market go tumbling from a ridiculous trade war that has started from with our nearest and closest ally. And we've also essentially switched sides in a war against an ally, fighting for the survival of this country and democracy, and aligning us with Russia. This has all just happened in the past month. And the only explanation we can think of for these absurd tariffs are that he's crashing the economy on purpose to create a fire sale of the government for his rich oligarchs and himself. This economy has not adjusted. It's not some market adjustment. This crash this week has been the fault of one person alone, and we are here to fight his agenda. I think we're beginning to see some cracks in that coalition. We see town halls like this pop up all over the country, and those Republican representatives that are courageous enough to show up have heard our opinions. Ironically, Donald Trump himself is to blame that some of his own voters are finally seeing that maybe he doesn't have their best interests at heart. So, yes. So we're going to proceed with our town hall today at the St. Matthews Community Center. We have invited both Senator McConnell and Senator Paul, and we have a place here prepared for each of them, but it appears that they are not showed up today. They actually ignored our calls and our emails as well. But you know what? We're going to go ahead with our town hall anyway, and here's how we are going to do it to start off. If all of you have questions, we've been handing out these cards like crazy, and you've got questions. We're not going to get to all those questions today, but we're going to make sure that their offices get these questions, right? And this is being live streamed on YouTube right now by Leanne over here. So we do have time for people to come up and ask their questions. You can come to this side of the room, line up, and Laura will hold the microphone for you. You can come to this side of the room, and Nancy will hold the microphone for you. And you can ask these questions live streamed on YouTube right now. And I'm sorry that we won't be able to get to all of them. After a certain period of time, we've got some special guests here that are going to come up and talk as well. So if anybody has any questions they want to ask now would be the time to come up to either one of these mics. Or if anybody would like to ask their questions. Come on up. Now's the time.
You all here in the back? Oh, I can get it real close now. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for hosting. This is wonderful. My name is Robin, and I'm from Louisville. And my short intro, very short intro before my question. The Trump administration deleted the Constitution from the White House website on or about January 20th. Up until then, it had been available for anyone 24/7. I fact-checked it. It's on Snopes. People sent in pictures. This is what it looked like before. This is what it looks like now. So my question is to you, senators, what are you going to do about that? People need access to this national document 24/7. Why is the administration denying the people that this document was written for and about access to it? When are they going to do something to get it back up on the website? When are you going to do something?
Thank you.
If you guys are joining us on YouTube and you have a question, you can send it in and I can ask it for you here inside.
Senator Paul and Senator McConnell and the Republican Party, when are you going to have some backbone and stand up for our country and protect us from Donald Trump?
I'd like to ask both senators what will tariffs on Canadian goods accomplish when our Kentucky whiskey and other product sales will be immediately cut off?
My name is Craig Lichty. My question to the senators is this. We have already committed acts of aggression against Canada. We've threatened acts of aggression against Greenland, Denmark, Gaza, Panama, Mexico. And my question is this. When are you going to stand up and take back the right of the declaration of war back from the president?
Right.
And I have a question for you, Senator McConnell and Senator Paul. Is it on? I don't know.
Testing, can you hear it? You just gotta get really close.
Okay, hello. My question for you, Senators McConnell and Paul, is this. Does addressing the common good have any place in your plan these days? And if so, how?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I am from Oldham County. My name is Monica Dean, and I am running against Thomas Massey next year. I'm a single mother. I'm a veteran. I'm a single mother, I'm a veteran, and I'm a project manager by trade. My question. Do I need to yell into it? Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. Sorry. So my question for the senators is what happened to the constitutional conservatives? And what happened to the Congress's powers? Why are you rolling over and allowing whatever they want to do to happen? And it's disgusting. So take it back.
My name is Walden Smith, and I'm a veteran and a 40-year employee of the federal government. For both senators, you guys have planned cuts of 80,000 VA employees. 30% of those are veterans that have PTSD. Some of the contracts that you're canceling are for companies that help support PTSD. And just recently, a friend of mine was at the Pentagon recovering bodies. He had been trying to get a job as a nurse, got the job, and he got one of Musk's stupid, unrealistic termination notes and promptly proceeded to commit suicide. 22 veterans a day commit suicide, and that is going to go up with all this crap that's going on. So what are you going to do to protect the veterans and all the people that have protected you so you can sit in the seats you're taking right now.
My name is Eric Hansen, and I have a question concerning the two ex-KGB agents that I read about last week that have both accused Trump of being a Russian asset who was trained and brought in and agreed to comply with Putin's agenda, the United States. And this is a pretty serious accusation. I'd like to hear a little bit of investigation, a little bit more in-depth response to these two men that know what they're talking about.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeanette Westbrook, and I'm a 30-year employee in the state of Kentucky on social work. My husband is a 33-year-old federal employee of the United States Postal Service. And my question to Senator McConnell and Senator Paul is this: why are you supporting an agenda that harms Kentucky families, Kentucky children, and America's children?
Hi, my name is Kathy Robbins, and I'm a former elementary teacher. And I would like to ask the senators why they allow Trump to break so many laws and attack the judges who are doing their jobs following the law.
Can you hear me? Yeah. All right. I'm a retired 40-year ICU nurse, and I'm very, very, very alarmed at how our country is now feeling about medical research and science. I just cannot believe that we have people dying of the measles right now. Are we going to bring polio back too? What the heck is wrong with you people that you can't grow some gonads and take care of it? I'm a nurse, don't and take care of what's wrong with people like RF. Why do we have him? Why are we doing this to ourselves? It's absolutely tragic. Answer. I know you're such cowards.
Hi, my name is Kate Albrecht. I teach multilingual learners at Doss High School. I work with ESL students or students who come from other countries and speak other languages for 15 years. And when my students get their green cards and they're in process of becoming citizens, I tell them, hey, you gotta get informed. We want you to participate in civic life in this country. We want to hear what you have to say. And I've seen my kids grow up and learn English and go to school and graduate and get jobs that contribute to our communities. And when on March 8th, student activist Mahmoud Khalil was arrested without a warrant, he committed no crimes, he was disappeared, and he is at risk of losing his green card and being deported. When I saw that happen, I wondered, have I been telling my students the wrong thing? I'd like to ask the senators, should I tell them that they only get to speak their minds if you like what they have to say? And if
Hi, I'm
I'm Dr. Laura Schweitzer, a past person who worked at the University of Louisville School of Medicine. I have a question for Senator McConnell. You have recently stood up against some of Trump's nominees for cabinet confirmation. That was too little too late. You have single-handedly furthered Trump's agenda more than any other individual by blocking President Obama's nominee for Supreme Court and blocking Trump's impeachment. I have a question for you. Now, will you do the right thing for the people of Kentucky by blocking Trump's budget that will gut Medicaid, a program that provides health care for nearly 50% of the children of Kentucky and 45% of pregnant women in Kentucky?
Hi, my name is Sean, and I am a constituent from Lexington, Kentucky. The question I have, and I'm really concerned about Elon Musk and Doge, and I'm very concerned about the fact that he keeps claiming there are all these instances of fraud. For instance, 150-year-old people getting Social Security, which was later found out to be a complete misunderstanding of how the computer system works, and there was no one committing fraud. But we keep getting these accusations of fraud, but if a crime is being committed, someone has to be committing it. So we keep saying, oh, well, these organizations, these government institutions are committing fraud, but no one actually did it. We don't have anyone to accuse. We have no names. We have nothing to bring forth to say, this person committed fraud, this person committed a crime, this person's stealing money. It's all just, it feels like a smokescreen. It feels like we're making things up because if there were crimes being committed, there would be people being accused of committing these crimes. But there's just an accusation of crimes being committed and no one's being named. So I really feel like if Elon Musk is going to continue to make these accusations, he needs to bring up the names of the people committing these crimes so, something can be done about them. But he's not, and it's making me pretty suspicious at this point. So that's my question, Senator.
My name is Karen Constantine. I moved to Louisville about a year ago, and I am so proud to be a new resident of Louisville, Kentucky. So many concerns, but one of the most recent is that Arlington National Cemetery, our nation's honored burial ground for our veterans, has now scrubbed from its website any reference to Black veterans, Hispanic veterans, and women veterans. You go on there and it's not there. My question to the senators and all Republicans, have you no shame?
Hi, I'm Calvin. My wife and I live in Louisville. So if we call ourselves a free people, we enjoy our rights, but we also feel our responsibilities. And we are seeing Mr. Trump, his hands are apparently too small to uphold responsibilities, and I'm speaking up for veterans, children, and the public health. Senator Paul, Senator McConnell, what will you do to help us uphold our responsibilities, as we should?
I'm Reverend Cindy Weber, and I've been a pastor here in Louisville at Chester Baptist for 39 years. And 39 years ago, and this is a question to Mitch McConnell, 39 years ago, he was in Sunday school taught by Glenn Stassen at Crescent Hill Baptist Church, and Glenn Stassen taught love for all. taught peace for all. So my question to Mitch McConnell is, could you please go back to what you learned 40 years ago from Glenn Stassen and begin to love and to work for peace for everyone?
My name is Michael Price. Mitch, and Diane, I sent you an email before Elon Musk took his current position, whatever that is. Right. I warned you that this man has the resources to copy every bit of data owned by the U.S. government. How are you going to hold him accountable for what he does with that data?
We only have time for one more question before we're going to move on to our speaker. Thank you for joining us live.
Questions on each side.
This will be quick. I'm Sarah Francisco. I live in Jefferson County. I am a public school teacher. I value and my family values the national park systems in our country. I have heard all about all the things that are getting cut in the United States. I have never heard anything about what's being replaced. And I know from working in a corporate job and even in any kind of community, if you cut something, usually you substitute or replace. I'm wondering how our national treasures, which are a great source of income in tourism for our state and country, will be maintained with all of these cuts.
I think we're done. I think that was the last one.
I have a question for the senators, and I have my question for the senators is simply this: who do you think we are? Who do you think we are? We're Americans. We're Kentuckians. We will fight for our families. We will fight for the people we love. We need you to fight for us and with us, but we will do it without you. Yes. We are not alone. We are not alone.
Hi, I usually don't have a volume problem. My name is Annie, and I'm, first of all, I want to tell Mitch McConnell you should be really honored that they used such an old photograph. But I want to know, look at the people here, look at the people who come to these events, look at the response of this country. We are panicked. You are not. We can't see any sweat on your face. You're not worried about anything. So who exactly are you listening to? Because it's not us. I live in a little blue dot in a big red state, and we are doing our best to stay balanced. And you all are not responding. There were plenty of questions here. I really hope we can see an answer to them.
Yes.
All right, thank you for those fantastic questions, and all of your questions are going to be sent to the offices of these two senators. Today, we want to save some time for our guest. Mark Murphy is a professor of practice at the University of Louisville Brandeis School of Law, where he teaches, among other things, criminal law, constitutional criminal and procedure. Prior to that, he practiced trial and criminal law for 40 years, and he's a native Eastern Kentuckian and an Army veteran. The Army paid for his undergraduate education at the University of Notre Dame, where he graduated Pi Beta Kappa. He served in Cold War Germany and in Central America, earning 2 meritorious service medals. He was the Commonwealth's attorney here in Jefferson County, and for nearly 20 years, he has been a national award-winning political cartoonist for the Louisville Courier-Journal. We recently saw him speak a couple of weeks ago at the Ukraine rally, and we're delighted that he's here to share a few words with us today. Mr. Mark Murphy, everyone.
Tell what kind of meeting this is. Rand, you can hold my jacket. Vince, you just pay attention. All right. Linda, Charlie, thank you. Can you hear me in the back? Good, thank you. I can't say anything more eloquently. I can't speak more eloquently than the questions that have already been posed. To see someone who isn't accustomed to taking a microphone and speaking in front of hundreds of people and shaking. I could tell from behind them that they were shaking and they were terrified. But I can tell that they're more terrified for their country. And they're more terrified for the people among us who can't take care of themselves and the ones that are being hurt by the agendas of these two gentlemen who aren't here today. So I applaud you for standing and asking those questions. I don't tend to give speeches, but out of respect for this group and the invitation, which I appreciate Charlie and Linda so much, I have written some remarks, and I ask for your patience, but I wanted to make sure that I stayed within my own guardrails here, given that I share the same anger and frustration that you do. I'm going to start with a couple of questions myself. The first is, when did we stop dreaming? More specifically, when did our political leaders stop asking us to dream, demanding that we dream, challenging to make us better, to build a better country? When did we stop talking about the bigger picture? When did we hand the pen and the paper to the worst people among us and ask them to write the American story, our American story? When did we give up? Here we are now as a country, not at our best, but at our worst, our shameful, hate-filled, desperate worst, because no one has really demanded or even asked us to be better, to dream for a long time. Another question. Why are there swing voters? That alone is a stark reminder of how lost we are. There shouldn't be people weighing the differences between fascists and Democrats. That there would be swing voters in the 2024 election is a national failure. But listen, that was decades in the making. A failure to lead, a failure to teach, a failure to understand what it means to have a country, a failure to understand what a vote means. And this is because from the candidates and our national party, there's been a failure of courage, a failure to inspire. We became accustomed to just accepting, okay, that's good enough. We become accustomed to accepting, okay, that's good enough for us. To hell with anyone else. Of course, voting is an act of self-preservation and an act of self-expression. But when it's only that, when you vote for a candidate who says he'll do something for you, even while he's saying he'll inflict suffering on others, then your vote is just an act of selfishness. When I say we, I don't mean everyone. I don't mean the people in this room. Not everyone gave up. You here clearly have not. And it's not my intention to criticize the hard work local Dems, and many of you are doing, and have for years been doing. Finally, I respect deeply the work of people like Morgan McGarvey and our local legislative representatives who toil on our behalf and on behalf of the weak and the poor and the different every day in those cesspools that have become our Congress and our state legislature. When I say we, I also mean people of good faith. I mean people who embrace empathy, people who understand how community and country work, people who understand, and I quote, that the greatest illusion of modern society is that freedom is purely individualistic, when in reality, our freedom is deeply interconnected with the well-being of everyone. That's who we are. And let's be clear about who they are, too. Republican elected officials, from top to bottom, are the enemy of peace. They are the enemy of the poor and the enemy of the different. They are the enemy of anyone who isn't white or wealthy. They are the enemy of science. They're the enemy of progress. They're the enemy of quite literally everything that makes this nation worth living in and for. They are the enemy. As a former prosecutor, I'm not here to present an indictment of their crimes. You know them, and there will have been several since I got in my car to drive here today. But as for them, it's time to stop asking why. It's time to stop being surprised. They're not good people, and they're never going to do the right thing, ever. They understand one thing, and that's power. And in the absence of violence, that power, our power, lies in our ability to replace them. On both sides, where necessary. There is no in-between. You may ask, why must I draw such stark lines? Why must I be divisive? Literally in front of a group of people that calls itself Indivisible. I understand it may make some uncomfortable, that using a word like enemy may undercut my credibility. I think just the opposite.
Right.
I think that our reluctance, born of good faith, to say those words, to call other Americans the problem and the enemy, is part of how we got here. Perhaps at first, we tried to see the best in them, or that the weight of centuries of the push and pull of our two-party system would even things out, and we'd be back to arguing about trickle-down economics in no time. But they had other ideas, and in a few short weeks, they've broken every express and implied promise that Americans have at least pretended to make to one another from the beginning. Every day, things we had previously considered unthinkable are piled upon each other at such a fast pace that the compromised or complicit media can't keep up. They're not winning. They've won. Yeah. The America that you thought existed exists no more. It's Pearl Harbor, except this wasn't a surprise. And with far more casualties. The question now isn't which runway or barracks that's in flames we can salvage. The question is whether we have the willingness, the courage, and the leadership to regroup and fight back. This time, unlike 1941, not just for our allies' freedom and democracies, but for our own. That leadership, with very few exceptions, does not presently exist within the National Democratic Party. The National Dems have led from behind, studied polls, and try to appeal to logic with small ideas. That's not the new American story that needs to be written by us, not them. The small ideas from the National Party are good ones, but they don't drive anyone to action. They don't satisfy the soul. They don't engage the heart. The families of middle America, the swing voters, who are constantly being interviewed by the New York Times and NBC, were and are waiting for something meaningful. They're waiting to be inspired. They're waiting to be led. While the National Democrats protected small victories, courted billionaires, formed private-public partnerships, abandoned the poor, and played to not lose, which they did everywhere, Trump and the GOP reached into the darkest part of people's souls and pulled out their worst instincts, their hate and their fear. They weaponized their prejudices, their greed, and their racism. But the GOP was confident, unapologetic, and relentless. At our national level, we have been hesitant, apologetic, and willing to relent at the drop of a dime. The Republicans are also dishonest and immoral, and we gain nothing, of course, by copying them. I say of course, but time after time, Democratic candidates position themselves just a tad to the left of the hate-filled Republican agenda. So often that the so-called center now has moved unrecognizably to the right. The American story is now being written from the perspective of science-denying, white supremacist billionaires. So what do we do? What do we do? First, we can't keep doing the same thing. Period. Yeah, the National Democratic Party is doing that right now. Secondly, say their names. Say their names. Call them what they are. Christian nationalists, white supremacists, fascists. This may seem harsh, but if 7 so-called moderate Republicans have dinner with a fascist, what you got are 8 fascists having dinner. Say your names. Like those of you who stood up today and those of you who are here with your posters and your lives put on hold on this Sunday and perhaps for the longest time now to say the things that matter to you. Say who you are. It begs the question, who are we? We have to start over. It begins with who we used to be, but aren't anymore. We have to admit we're not the same nation who heard John Kennedy say, America will put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. We're not the same nation who heard Bobby Kennedy say, the gross national product does not allow for the health of our children, the quality of their education, or the joy of their play. It measures, in short, everything except that which makes life worthwhile. People are moved by big ideas. People are moved by real leadership, not by committees or focus groups. And in politics, people can either be challenged to be the best they can be, to dream of a better world, or they will be moved to their worst instincts. And what I see is one party that's focused like a laser on big things. And those are big things that have appealed to the world since the beginning of time. Things like hate. It's easy to rally around hate. Hate makes for great flags. Hate makes for great hats. Hate is easy to brand. Hope, on the other hand, is not. Hope is easily made fun of. Hope is childish. Hope is fleeting. An artist depicted Barack Obama as a candidate with the words hope. But the other side one time made fun of it and said, hopey changey, and we backed away. We allowed them, as a result, to write the American story, the story that they had begun to write 50 years ago when Ronald Reagan was elected. Cut taxes and unleash the wealthy and the corporations upon the American landscape that they've been scorching ever since, at the expense of everyone. Republican big ideas are the story of the last century. Republican big ideas like, read my lips, no new taxes. What that means, despite what they say it means, is that you're on your own. We'll take care of ourselves. You can go to hell with your underfunded schools, your broken healthcare systems, and your crumbling infrastructures. Here's another one. It's a corollary of that. There's not enough money. There's always been enough money. Another, the government is the enemy. And finally, that you should be afraid. You should be afraid of crime. You should be afraid of Hondurans. You should be afraid of your trans neighbors. You should be afraid of university professors. You should be afraid of university professors. And you should be afraid of diversity. The National Democratic response, taxes? All right. We'll cut taxes too. There's not enough money? Well, maybe you're right. We don't want to sound like socialists. Should we be afraid? Yeah, maybe not just as afraid. Maybe we should run away from identity politics. Maybe we should dump the gays. Maybe we should dump the poor. They don't vote or contribute to my campaign. Hell, dump the women. The thing is, identity politics is just a cynical branding that we've allowed them to use. Identity politics is really another way to say we care about others. We, on the other hand, have ignored the voters' hearts and souls and have asked for their patience while we calmly explain the advantages of watered-down health care or student loan repayment plans. Those are good things. But that's not leadership. Those things aren't the basis of a movement. That doesn't stir the soul, and it doesn't demand anything of anyone. That doesn't ask Americans to be better. That doesn't describe a world in which poverty is being addressed at its core. A world in which love and not hate or fear makes us reach for others and include them, rather than push them away and exclude them. A world in which the wealthiest nation in the world doesn't just lead the world in two categories: the size of its military and the percentage of its people it puts in prisons. If John Kennedy said today, ask what you can do for your country, most Americans would assume that he actually wasn't talking to them. The Republicans now have handed us a gift. They've taught us that careful half measures don't work. That when it comes to human rights, people's lives, and the Constitution, compromise actually results in the death of the innocent people government exists to protect. That when we have no choice now, we have to do something different. And we have nothing left to lose. And since we're starting over, why would we write an American story that is a compromise? That doesn't demand and inspire us to build a country that at a minimum catches up with other democracies and strives to be a model. John Kennedy didn't promise the world we'd get to the moon at some point in time, maybe depending on, circumstances. Martin Luther King didn't stand at the base of the Lincoln Memorial and say he had some recurring, thoughts about things. They had dreams.
That's right. We still have a dream.
We need dreams. So what is the American story that we, not them, should be writing? Now that we have the opportunity to start from scratch and create that society. What kind of society do we want to build? Because the one we have now wasn't working a long time before MAGA contorted it into its own monstrous likeness. What are the big ideas we should embrace, not run from? What does real leadership at every level sound like when you want to inspire and lead Americans, not cater to their worst instincts? And what if we fail? What if I'm wrong? What if Americans only want lower taxes and to be left alone? At least we tried. If we don't try, we've already lost. Leadership doesn't sound like a compromised, piecemeal healthcare marketplace loyal to shareholders. Leadership sounds like universal healthcare. Leadership doesn't sound like private-public partnerships to build a few new affordable housing units. Leadership sounds like the elimination of poverty, nothing less. Leadership doesn't sound like a little more funding for schools tied to private vouchers. Leadership sounds like free public education. Leadership doesn't sound like more tax breaks. Leadership sounds like higher taxes for the people who can afford to pay them. And leadership does not sound like compromising anyone's human rights. For any reason, under any circumstance, in the face of any threat, never, ever come for our LGBTQ neighbors. Never, ever come for our Black neighbors. Never, ever come for our trans neighbors. And give women back immediately all of their rights. Finally, they said I had 5 minutes. Finally, leadership sounds like a belief that government is a manifestation of our understanding that we are here to take care of others. That we don't save ourselves, we save each other. And how we build our government is an expression of our ideals, of the nation we want to be, and of the people we want to be. And the undying belief, the hope that we can be. Thank you, Sarah.
Murphy. And now, ladies and gentlemen, before we get out, we are going to talk about how we're going to get organized. I'd like to introduce Leanna Hill, a local elementary teacher and the manager of our social media, a fellow Indivisible member, and she's going to talk about the action circles. Here we go.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, I am a teacher, so I'm going to do this like a teacher. So sorry. Okay, first thing first. Thank you for coming. This is amazing. You took time out of your Sunday to be here, and you could have been anywhere, so we really appreciate you. We also appreciate your patience. We are literally building an airplane while it is flying. This is all of our first time trying to fight fascism, so I appreciate your patience. My second thing is I am an elementary school teacher, but I am trying to run all of our social media accounts. Please follow us on social media. The Trumpers have found my TikTok page, our Indivisible TikTok page. I would love your comments so I can stop blocking people. We are on Instagram at IndivisiblelewKY. We are on TikTok at indivisible.lewis. And we are on Blue Sky at indivisible.lewky. You can follow us on those. We also have a YouTube channel. We are live streaming right now. But YouTube has a rule that I cannot live stream from my phone until we have 50 subscribers. So please subscribe so I can live stream from my phone when we go to rallies and things like that. That would be great so we can action and mobilize. Those are my 2 things. One quick announcement, we are planning on having our next meeting around April 5th. That might look like a rally, it might look like something else. So that's more information to come on that. We will put it in our newsletters, we will put it on social media. So more information to come on that. Okay, now I'm gonna give you multi-step directions. Are you ready? Yeah. All right, we are trying to mobilize and actionize, right? There are too many of us to do the work right now in one giant group. So we are going to be splitting into action circles. These are not going to be like a committee. It's a circle of people that are going to be focused on taking action in real time. We right now have 7 different action circle options that you can be a part of. From education to immigration, energy, and the environment. We have veterans, we have healthcare, reproductive rights. There are 7 different options for you to choose from. I do only want you to choose one. You are one person, and you cannot burn yourself out by joining all 7 action circles, okay? Even if you feel like you can. I want you to devote your time as much as you possibly can to one action circle so you can be most effective. Pick one where you feel like you have the most experience or you can bring the most to that circle. How we're going to do this. There are QR codes in the back of the room, outside on the patio, and out front. They are labeled with which action circle they go to underneath them. It says this is the education action circle sign-up form. The form is very simple. It has 3 questions. What's your name? What's your email? Would you like a leadership position within this action circle? Yes, no, and I also gave you a maybe, in case you were wondering. So yes, no, maybe, okay? Once you've filled that out, you are clear to go. We're gonna be able to then send action circles individual Zoom links so that those action circles can get together. They can talk about what's going on in politics in that realm and decide action steps that they can take. We will pass that to the larger group so we can all take action on all of those topics. But it's a way for us to get organized and for us to mobilize and take real action in real time, because that's what we all want to do. That's why we're here. We want to resist. We want to do something. So that's how we're going to do it. So when I let you go, you have a choice to go to the back to sign up. There are big signs with cones that tell you which table for each action circle. There are the ones out front if you're just going to take it and go to your car, or there are some out on the patio too if you're getting really hot like me and you'd like some fresh air. There's some on the patio as well. Anything else I need to tell them before I can let them go?
Yeah, just that April 5th, maybe the rally instead of a meeting.
Yeah, we were planning on having our next chapter meeting for our big chapter meeting on April 6th. That might still happen, but it also might be a rally on April 5th. More information to come. Thank you so much for being here. This is incredible. You guys can go find the QR code, join the action circle. We really, really appreciate it. Thanks, guys. If you have any follow-up questions about the senators, we will take them and we'll get them to the senators. You can bring them this way. Hey, thank you guys for joining us live on YouTube. We are going to be posting on social media. Please subscribe to our channel. That way we can hit our 50 subscribers and go live on our phones. Please follow us on social media, Instagram at indivisible.lukeky. We're on TikTok at indivisible.lewis, and we're on Blue Sky at indivisible.lukeky.bluesky.socials. Please follow us on any of those. It really helps us. If you'd like to join the action circles, the links to those will be posted on social media right after this meeting. We really appreciate you guys. You are making a difference. Thanks for showing up. Yeah.